Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Well, my name is Josephina Medu, and I'm here to present the situational analysis of science communication from the eyes of the NBMA. Well, so Nigeria has long recognized the need to employ modern biotech tools in ensuring food security, the conservation of the environment, and then to ensure human health. And so we have been able to adopt the products of these modern biotechnologies. However, we also recognize that there are concerns surrounding the use of these biotechnologies, especially with regards to human health, the environment, and then to biodiversity. And so Nigeria, as we have seen with other nations, have domesticated the provisions of the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety. And so with this domestication, we have been able to establish the National Biosafety Management Agency via the NBMA Act of 2015. Now the NBMA has the mandate of providing a regulatory framework and the institutional and administrative mechanisms for safety measures in the application of modern biotech. The Act was amended in 2015 to cover the regulation of gene editing, gene drives, synthetic biology, and then to put in place measures to ensure biosecurity. Now, I'll not be going through this because my DG CEO has done a very wonderful job on stating the functions of the agency. Moving on to the communication channels employed by the NBMA, we have a very functional website, www.nbma.gov.ng. So we use the website to interact with Nigerians. On the website, we have the links to our regulations, the Act. We have our guidelines. We have our application forms. We have our press releases, and then our news letters. Nigeria has a very, we engage the print media. I think the Tribune is one of them. We have the Voice of Nigeria, as you have heard. We also are very active in building the capacity of students. So we have a GMO detection and analysis laboratory that helps us in the monitoring and traceability of GMOs within Nigeria. We also use the lab to build the capacity of students in the areas of molecular biology, modern biotech, biosecurity, as well as biosafety. So till date, we have been able to train over 1,500 students within Nigeria at the lab. Our experience with the emerging biotechnologies. As I have said, we have an act that has been amended in 2019. After the amendment, we developed and then we validated the gene editing guidelines. So the guidelines provide guidance as to what an applicant is supposed to do if he or she is to deal with gene editing within Nigeria. Our experience experience, Nigeria is very much actively involved with the West African Integrated Vector Management. It's a platform that regulates biocontrol tools. So far, we have been able to develop about 6 to 7 guidelines as it relates to gene drives. Nigeria also actively participated in the ad hoc technical expert group on risk assessment of living modified organisms that has gene drives. And the reports will be going to COP, I think in September this year for validation. Just recently, a staff of the agency, so by name Mr. Nguyen Su, he came out as the president of the African Society of Synthetic Biology. So you see that when it has to do with regional regulation of emerging modern biotechnology, Nigeria is at the forefront. Now, in terms of application dossiers with regarding modern biotech, as it regards gene editing, gene drives, or synthetic biology, we are yet to receive any application on synthetic biology. I'm not sure any regulatory whatever has received. With regards to gene drives, we are yet to receive. However, we have been able to receive 2 applications with regards to gene editing. We have the one that was submitted by the National Biotech Research and Development Agency on gene-edited tomatoes for contained use. And then we have the one submitted by the National Root Crops Research Institute for gene-edited potatoes. How we relate with scientists. So we have a very nice relationship with scientists, especially those of the line ministries. As my DG CEO stated, we have been able to sign several memorandum of understanding with these, with regulators and scientists across these different agencies. We belong to similar societies, one of which is the Biotech Society of Nigeria. Recently, we had the International Conference on Biotech, and I'm sure Mr. Issa will be talking, I think, a little on that. We also meet with these scientists at our several review meetings, which we have when we when we assess, I think, a dossier for their when we carry out reviews of our dossiers to see if there are any risks associated with those GMOs. Challenges encountered. So the brother from Cameroon said he has not heard anything about the anti-GMO. We have had several of them. In short, we have had reasons for them to say that the act should be repealed. Some said that the act should be banned. In short, we have had several of them. I think in the month of May, the DG CEO of NAFDAC, which is supposed to regulate drugs and food within Nigeria, came out on national TV to say GMOs are not safe. Imagine such. And so it had to take a series of, but then we'll get into that later. And then another thing is that our judiciary are not well informed. There is a need for them to be trained. They need to know the best practices associated with biosafety regulation. Another challenge is with labeling, especially when Nigeria, so here in Nigeria we have regulations that say that GMOs should be labeled, and it's not a safety issue, it's so that we will have, Nigerians will have the opportunity to choose to use such a GMO. However, the problem now starts, how will a market woman that is just selling her beans label? Does she say this is GM beans, this is non-GM beans? How are we supposed to deal with that? Okay, again, wrong media releases. And I think the discussion here have really touched on that. So the way forward that we see is on leveraging on the strengths of relevant MDAs. There is a need for synergy with relevant stakeholders. I talked about the issue of the DG of NAFDAC. There is a need for us to engage our youth through social media and then the educational platforms. Sensitization workshops for the judiciary and the media can not be overemphasized. There is a need for study tours. There is a need for sponsored documentary films on GMOs, etc. In conclusion, effective science communication requires the active participation of all stakeholders and transparency at all stages of the process. An effective science communication strategy builds confidence in the regulatory system and enhances public acceptance of GM products. If you want to know more about the agency, please, we have our social media and we have our mail, etc. And please feel very free to reach us. Thank you very much for your time.